in order to use Bitcoin, you have to pay. Everybody has to pay. Michael Saylor has to pay. BlackRock has to pay. I have to pay. There is no such thing as a free trial on Bitcoin. You buy the asset, which might go down the next day. So that's already a cost. And then I want to transfer it from you to you. There's a transaction fees. And I'm like, that's the solution. So I put the app behind the paywall, kind of like a proof of work, right? So that way, what happened is one by one, we don't have any scammers. We don't have any spammers. I mean, we do sometimes, occasionally, but they get banned. We don't have any bots, right? So it's a really like high quality group of people. And starting to understand it's not just the technology. In fact, it might not even be technology at all. You know, actually, when I read that book, I was reminded of one of the first lessons that I took in at the university, where the professor goes, when you buy the vinyl or the CD, you're not buying the vinyl or the CD. You're buying the music. The vinyl is the delivery mechanism. But what you're really buying is the music or the audiobook, whatever it may be. And so when I realized that, because I see now, the blockchain is not the blockchain. The point of the blockchain is not the blockchain. The point of the blockchain is the money that is being created through the blockchain.
Hi there. I have a quick favor to ask. Over the past few months, this podcast has had several thousand returning viewers and listeners, but over 75% of you haven't subscribed yet. If you're enjoying what I'm doing and find my content valuable, consider subscribing on YouTube or following me on your favorite podcasting platform. If you're listening to this on Fountain app, then feel free to boost the show. It'll go a long way in helping the podcast grow and spreading the message about Bitcoin even further. I truly appreciate your support. Now, let's dive into this episode. Welcome to Your Bitcoin Story, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of Bitcoin, exploring the stories, insights, and journeys of those shaping the future of money. I'm your host, Gigi, and today we have a special episode with a fantastic guest, Matteo, the CEO and founder of Orange Pill app. Orange Pill app is a Bitcoin-only social network that was created in the midst of the 2022 bear market by a group of Bitcoiners who believed there had to be a better way to connect with other Bitcoiners locally. Matteo is here to share the story behind the Orange Pill app, how it's helping Bitcoiners connect, and how the app is building a stronger, more localized Bitcoin communities. Let's dive right into Matteo's journey into Bitcoin and the impact of Orange Pill app. Welcome to the show, Matteo.
Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. We've been mentioning Orange Pill app in a few episodes, and of course, shilling it socially on X and Nostr. And yeah, and it was for a long time, I wanted to have the man behind the Orange Pill app on the show. So thanks a lot for accepting the invite and coming on the show today.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thanks for shilling, I guess.
My pleasure. So let's jump right into it as we do with all guests. Matteo, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you first discovered Bitcoin?
Sure. So I was born on a Tuesday morning, I think at 9. Are we starting too far back? Joking aside. So yeah, I was born in Italy, and then I left when I was 21, I think, a long time ago, unfortunately for me. And I moved to London, spent 7 years there, built some companies, in software, then moved back to Italy for a year, and then I moved to New York in 2014, so 10 years ago. So I've been living in the United States now for 10 years. And,
wow.
Spent a couple of years in New York, didn't like the winter, and then moved to Los Angeles, which is where I am now. And, that's I think that's my final destination. We'll see. But in terms of my, I guess, career background, I guess I'm very unemployable. So I always had to come out with my own business. So I had business. My first business was at 19. I had an eBay business where we resell clothing with an older friend of mine. Then I had a shipping, e-commerce, so many business. But the latest one that's which is the most exciting is Orange Pill app, which is local location-based social network for Bitcoiners. And I guess we can go deeper into that later on. But that's kind of the background. Now,
Gotcha.
how did I get into Bitcoin? It's a long story. Like, how long do you want that story to be?
Up to you. If you want to do the full 60 minutes, we can. So there's no limits.
So let's see. The first time I heard was 2012. I know for a fact, and the price was $5. I'll never forget that. I didn't buy, obviously, and if I did, I probably would have sold it anyway. So it's not like I have
Or lost it.
regrets. Yeah, exactly. 2012. God knows what I would have even bought it. In any case, so I thought it was a scam. I actually, I have a degree in economics. So obviously it didn't help. And I thought this got to be a fake scam, all that kind of the usual, the usual criticism from somebody that, has a degree in economics. And then I thought it was a scam until basically 2016, maybe 2017. So because of I built all this technology company, I've known of Naval Ravikant, which is a VC philosopher, technologist, great guy. We exchanged few notes back in the days. In any case, so I know of him, way before 2012, and then in 2016, or maybe it was 2017, I can't remember. He posted. So I joined Twitter, and it's a funny thing because actually I joined Twitter because of Trump, basically. Then a guy that was a Trump supporter, which was in all conspiracy theory. You can name it. Everything, I don't even remember the name anymore. Anyway, so he was in all conspiracy theories, like, okay, whatever. It was entertaining to me. And then he kept saying, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, every single day. This is like 2016. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just buy something, just in case, right? And I think I bought $10 of Bitcoin and $10 of Ethereum on Coinbase. And then Naval, which I knew was a legit guy, billionaire, philanthropist. He posted this tweet. He didn't even mention Bitcoin. In fact, it was about blockchain. The blockchains are going to change the world and the markets, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and that's when my brain start, breaking down. I was like, wait, why Naval is promoting a scam? And so the next morning, I literally woke up and I'm like, okay, let's figure this out, right? So I went back to Coinbase, forgot the password, forgot everything. Got the password, and then I'm like, the $10 or $20, about 10 and 10, right? And then that $20 was like $300, like a huge amount. And I'm like, is this a scam? I was right. Nothing goes up XX in a year.
Yeah.
And I've been buying stocks since I was 9. I think as soon as I turned 18, I went to the bank and I opened a brokerage account. And I've been buying stocks since I was 18, right? So I knew nothing goes up 10x.
In
At that
such a
point,
short
I
time.
had nothing legit goes up that much, right? And so anyway, so then I was like, you know what? Let me get a Bitcoin. I think it was $600, maybe 1,000. I don't remember. It was very cheap, 2,000. I don't know. So maybe I bought a Bitcoin or two. I can't even remember. And then Bitcoin went up in 2017, 20,000. And I was watching the price and I was like, oh, that's great. And then because I have a background in technology, I was like, I think I know what's going to happen here. There's going to be a new technology that replaces the old one. Because in technology, no first version is the dominant one.
Yeah.
Like, the first version on Amazon is 100 times worse than this version. GPS, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, any of the electric, you name it, planes. So in technology,
the next one's
it's
always much better.
Exactly. So I thought, okay, so Bitcoin is a technology to kind of move money around, but it's kind of slow, right? 10 minutes per block. So I literally, at the beginning of 2018, which was the beginning of the bear market. Now, this was my first year, so I had no idea about bear market. I had no idea of anything. I literally started trading I think I sold all my Bitcoin, and I would buy. But I had this strategy, which is ridiculous. I would go on CoinMarketCap every morning, and I would look at the coins that went down 10% or more in the top 100.
Okay.
And I would buy each of them. Now, this is the beginning of the bear market. So every day there was coins that went down 20%.
And they kept
I'm
dropping
like, wow.
and dropping.
And I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting these great deals. And then, I think it took me maybe 2 months, 3 months that my little brain finally figured out, okay, might not be the best idea you ever had. So I forget about I had a Binance account. I closed down the computer. I thought, okay, Bitcoin is a scam. Obviously, it's going down like crazy. Every other coin is also a scam. I was right 5 years ago, and I forgot about everything. I think maybe I had one Bitcoin. I can't remember how much I had left. And then in 2018, summer of 2018, Saifedean writes the Bitcoin Standard. And somehow, because I was on Twitter a lot, I heard about this book. I was following some Bitcoiners, I guess, maybe Breedlove. And I'm like, okay, he's an economist. I study economics. Maybe I should read that book. And so I read that book, and I'm like, wow, this is, Austrian economics, which I never heard before. They don't teach you that in school.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, this is like, I kind of like, as somebody that's been in business pretty much all of my life, Austrian economics makes more sense than Keynesian economics. Like, it's like you can tell, like, supply and demand, like you can tell low preference, like you can actually feel it, but you don't know what they're called. You never heard about it. Anyway, also, like, for example, like this idea of things being priced in, right?
Yeah.
Completely BS. Like, I don't even know what I want tomorrow for lunch. How can anything be priced in? So anyway, so this concept of Keynesian economics is like, so I read that book 2018, and I'm like, okay, I'm starting to understand it's not just the technology. In fact, it might not even be the technology at all. Actually, when I read that book, I was reminded of one of the first lessons that I took in at the university, where the professor goes, you can buy a vinyl. This is like, kind of before this, well, not before the CD, but the vinyl was still a big deal, or the CD, doesn't matter. They say, when you buy the vinyl or the CD, you're not buying the vinyl or the CD. You're buying the music. The vinyl is the delivery mechanism. But what you're really buying is the music or the audiobook, whatever it may be. And so when I realized that, because I see now, the blockchain is not the blockchain. The point of the blockchain is not the blockchain. The point of the blockchain is the money that is being created through the blockchain. So I had kind of this illumination, And so by Christmas of 2018, I had a job, but the only job I had in my life. I was selling cars. I had a lot of fun. I loved that job. I was also the only job I had, so I don't have a lot of reference. But in any case, so I remember clearly December of 2018, which Bitcoin was maybe 5,000 or 3,000, 4. I would give a gift card to all my colleagues at the car dealership. I say, Happy Christmas, blah, 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 blah. Please buy Bitcoin. So that's when I kind of started to become, a Bitcoin maxi. I thankfully basically forced my mother to buy a Bitcoin when it was 5,000. She still has it. She doesn't even know how to sell. So that's the
But she
best
has
part.
a
I never
good
thought.
Bitcoin broker, so it's fine. Who's keeping it safe?
Yeah,
Hodling
yeah,
hard.
I never thought of how to say. So this is how you buy, and that's it. Anyway, so 2018, Christmas, I'm like telling people, and then I actually, even after that, I did a little bit of shitcoining, NFT. I thought for a while, I thought NFT kind of makes sense until I've learned that NFT is actually a link to a database. It's not the image is not even on the blockchain. So anyway, so whatever. So I've done a little bit of shitcoining like 2019. And then Sailor shows up 2020. I know the date. I know the exact date because August 8th, 2020. So Sailor shows up, And it says, I have a public company, I'm a billionaire, maybe it wasn't back then, whatever. I'm going to go all in on Bitcoin. I'm like, if this guy is going all in, I should go all in too. And I remember I actually went back to look at the purchases, like on Coinbase and Strike. There were limits, by the way. I remember you can only buy 10,000 a day or 10,000 a month. And I would just say, I would call my friends and say, please, buy me Bitcoin. I'm going to make you a wire because there's all these limits. I need to buy as much Bitcoin as I can. And so that was summer of 2020. And then what happened is, okay, so then I was all in. I was really all in. And then at some point I was like, okay, let's go. And you listen to all the podcasts, you read all the books, you spend all your life on Twitter, studying. And then I'm like, okay, let's go and meet Bitcoiners. So I went to Miami in 2021, which is where Bukele announced the legal tender. And for the first time ever, because obviously I try to orange pill everybody in my life, right? My family, my wife, my wife's family, everybody that would talk to me. Eventually, now I stopped but back then I was like, if you talk to me, I give you 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, we're talking about Bitcoin. So whatever you want to tell me, you have 5 minutes to tell me. Then we talk about Bitcoin. So I got really good at orange pilling people because I was doing all the time. But in any case, I never really met a Bitcoiners that was just not because of me, right? So I created a lot of kind of Bitcoiners. Obviously, my mother is not a Bitcoiner, but all the Bitcoiners that I knew were the people that I kind of created myself. So I said, let's go to a conference. Let's have some fun. So I went to Miami, and for the first time, I met these Bitcoiners in the wild, that I didn't know. And also the other thing is that all the people that I kind of created, they didn't know anything basically. So all they knew is because I told them. So there was nothing to learn from them. Like I couldn't learn anything. It's like your child, So in Miami, I met these people that they've been in Bitcoin longer than me. They spend more time thinking about Bitcoin. So I had this great time. The energy was great. Everybody was super friendly. So when I got back to LA, I was like, okay, this was great. Now, how do I find Bitcoiners in LA? So I went to meetup.com. Eventually, I found a meetup. This must have been November 2021. So literally at the top of the top.
Yeah.
I went to this meetup. So I drove an hour because LA, everything's an hour drive. I drove an hour to this meetup. I was super excited. It's like finally, I can meet Bitcoiners where I am without, flying to Miami. And I went to this meetup. I think there were 10 people. Beautiful place, getting beers. And I'm like, half of the people were in NFT, shitcoining. And I'm like, wow, what a waste of time. I drove an hour.
Yeah.
You're a little
Expecting
nervous.
something and then you get
You don't
shitcoinery
know.
talk.
Like, everybody's a stranger, whatever. And then I'm like, obviously I didn't make any friends because also it's awkward. Like, even if you're in Bitcoin, it's like, yeah, give me your Twitter,
Yeah.
And again, half of the people, if not most, were like talking about anything else. Then I was driving back home and I'm like, there's got to be another way to find local Bitcoiners. So I went home and I Googled how many people lives in my city. It's called Santa Monica, which I think is 200,000 people, hundreds of thousands of people. So I was like, okay, so there's 200,000 people literally in my city. And if it's 0.01% of the people are Bitcoiners like me, it's like 200 of them.
Yeah.
So I should be able to find 5. I was really like low balling. And then I'm like, okay, but where do I find these Bitcoiners that there must be in Santa Monica by definition? Because, Twitter, you can't tell. People don't say I'm in Santa Monica every single day. Maybe you see a tweet of somebody that is in Santa Monica, but unless it's in their profile, you don't even know, hey, I see you in Santa Monica, let's go get a drink. Let's go get a beer or a pizza, whatever. So I had this problem for, so then I spent most of the winter, 2021, 2022, thinking, how do I find Bitcoiners locally? I was basically semi-retired at that time, I had a lot of time to think about it, this problem. And then eventually, in April of 2022, one of my friends, which is not a Bitcoiner, said, hey, I am building a dating app for people that are very active. So, for example, if you love tennis, you want to date somebody, so you already have something in common, right? And the more I listened to him explaining, I'm like, this is it.
That's what we need.
Yeah, that's what we need, a dating app for Bitcoiners, only men. So now, in honesty, that was the original idea. If I'm honest, the original idea was there should be a dating app for Bitcoiners, because if you're really into Bitcoin, you want to date a Bitcoiner, obviously, right? Makes your life easier. And then, thankfully, it took me maybe a month to realize it was not a good idea, because number one, there's no women. I mean, there's very few women.
I was going to say there would be a big difference between the sexes. It would be like 95% male, 5% women.
Probably more than that. But also, even if there were women, they had to be single.
Yeah.
So so when you build a company, you think, okay, what's the amount of people that would use my service or my product? So there's not a lot of Bitcoiners to begin with. Maybe there's 1 million Bitcoin in the world, right? So now take the 1 million Bitcoiners, now remove everybody married and a girlfriend, and you're left with single people, which is like, I don't know, 10,000, who knows? So anyway, so I figure, okay, but at least I figured the way to find local people. You have your phone, geolocation. Now we use approximate geolocation, obviously, which is, we don't deliver pizza, so we just need to know roughly where you are. Also, privacy. And then you have a profile, and then you have chats, and then you can find local Bitcoiners, right? And so eventually, actually, it took me quickly to figure out, okay, it's not dating app, it's a social network for Bitcoiners. And then, thankfully, I had, because of my previous business, I had amazing developers. So I had the idea on April, and we launched in November. So it took us 6 months. Yeah. I'm blessed. I'm not a developer myself, but I have some great developers that have been working for decades now. And so we got it very quickly. So we launched literally, if you remember, FTX blew up on a Friday.
Yeah, it was first week of November, no? Second week of November.
First, yes. So think about this. FTX blew up on a Friday. We launched the next Wednesday. And it was the best possible time to launch, actually. Now I know. So we launched our Pacific Bitcoin 2022, which was on a Wednesday, November 9th or November 10th, 2022. A few days after the price, I remember, was 16,000. After it was 69. So 80% drawdown. And the conference was amazing. I remember it was very surreal because the price was literally at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom. And people were so happy. It's like the price didn't matter at all. I'm like, is this real life or is this a movie? Because anyway, so we launch. Now the special thing about Orange Pill app is that everybody has to pay. Now, why did I choose that? Because it's kind of counterintuitive. Because I'm starting a social network that is location based from scratch, and we don't do free trials, and everybody has to pay, which sounds like an impossible mission, right? But it worked. It worked, way more than I expected. The reason why I had a paywall is literally two reasons. One, because I remembered the meetup that I went, and I'm like, okay, I figured out the technological solution to finding local people, but how do I know that you're not a shitcoiner, like the big,
True.
How do I know that? I can't ask you, hey, show me your wallet, right? It would never work. Actually, it's funny because at the beginning, my original idea was to do a test. Like when you sign up,
Yeah.
You have like 60 seconds to answer 6 questions, which obviously could be game, Also, you could be a shit corner and know the answer. It didn't really help. And then eventually I'm like, I'm doing like Bitcoin does. So in order to use Bitcoin, you have to pay.
You have to pay, correct.
Everybody has to pay. Michael Saylor has to pay. BlackRock has to pay. I have to pay. There is no such thing as a free trial on Bitcoin. You buy the asset, which might go down the next day. So that's already a cost. And then I want to transfer it from you to you. There's a transaction fees. And I'm like, that's the solution. So I put the app behind the paywall, kind of like a proof of work, right? So that way, what happened is one by one, we don't have any scammers. We don't have any spammers. I mean, we do sometimes, occasionally, but they get banned. We don't have any bots, right? So it's a really like high quality group of people. Now there's a selection process. And then the other advantage of a paywall is I don't have to sell your data. Because obviously building an app costs money, the infrastructure,
you
my
need a
time.
revenue stream of how to keep it alive.
Yeah, exactly. So the only alternative is advertising. I would go and look at your profile. I would try to keep you online as much as possible, because the more you're online, the more I can learn about you. Which, by the way, is the opposite goal of Orange Pill. The goal of Orange Pill is go offline. Go to the bar, the pizzeria, whatever. So the goal of Orange Pill is to spend little time as possible on the app, find somebody, and then go offline. So if I were doing ads, the incentive would be the opposite. I would have to track you online and also have to sell your data to the biggest bidder, which most people don't realize this, but sometimes the biggest bidder is the government, because obviously they want to know consumer behavior, right? Forget about Bitcoin, but in general, right? So sometimes it's a shell company that then sells the data to the government. So for me, ads is like the most anti-Bitcoin business model you can think of. So we had a paywall, and it was very cheap. I think it was $1.99 back then. And we launched November 10, 2022, and we had literally 300 sign up in one day.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, Bitcoin Magazine sent an article, so that helped a lot. Also, the conference, everybody was like, oh, yes, I need this in my life, right? So we launched, now we have 14,000 and change, maybe 15,000. So in 2 years, we went from 0 to 15,000. Now, this is all paid members, right?
Yeah. No bots, zero.
No bots, zero. Because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't economically make sense. Because what is the business model of people that run into bot farms? They have 1 million or 100 or 1,000 of them, and then 99 get banned, but one go through the cracks on X, on Instagram, on TikTok, whatever. And then with that one, they go and they do the scans, whatever they're doing. But if you have to pay $2 every single time, it's not, it doesn't make any sense. And so no bots, no scammer, no spammer. Also, no shit corners. Now, sometimes we get them. Actually today, literally this morning, I try to talk to everybody they sign up on the app. Now it's impossible because we have a lot of users, a lot of members. I was talking to some guy today, hey, welcome to the app. If you have any question or feedback, please let me know, And he goes like, oh, I'm out of Bitcoin since 2021. What do you think of Solana or XRP? And I literally reply one word, garbage. Now, I'm not going to ban the guy, unless you do scamming or spamming or you don't get banned. Obviously, you're not going to have a great time. So eventually, these people just leave. Sure, eventually they stop paying because it's not the place for them. But so it's a very, very high quality network of individuals, and there's basically no noise. Now, some people actually, it's funny because a woman and a man met through Orange Club and they just got married last month.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the initial idea did come to fruition. You can find your life partner through the Orange Pill app.
If you are a woman, honestly, if you are a woman, single in Bitcoin, there's an infinite amount of potential husband on Orange Fluff. If you're a man, not so much.
Quick interruption, folks, because your seed phrase deserves better than a napkin in your sock drawer. We partnered up with Stampseed, the legends of professional grade metal stamping tools. Their patented tools are made from solid titanium, the indestructible kind. You hammer your seed phrase letter by letter, so it's literally etched in stone. Well, titanium, but you get the idea. No loose pieces, no oops, my letter shifted around, and 0 points of failure. Perfect for wallets, multi-sig setups, or if you're planning to pass your Bitcoin empire to your kids. Mount it to a wall, stash it under a desk, or hide it like a treasure map. Use code BTCstory for a 15% off site-wide discount, because your seed phrase shouldn't be left to chance. Visit stampseed.com and order your personal stamping kit today. And now, let's get back to the episode.
No, we have, but here's the thing, that people don't realize. Like, if I ask you, what is the biggest dating app in the world? What would you say?
I found my wife before these Tinders and Bumbles and Bimbles, everything came out. But I don't know. I would say the biggest, I don't know, probably...
It's Tinder, by far.
Tinder, which they were like the first ones, no? First movers.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So Tinder has, I don't know, $5 billion big. What if I told you that the biggest dating app is actually Instagram?
Probably.
Exactly, right? But Instagram is not a dating app.
True.
But because he has so many users. So the point I'm making, you don't have to be a dating app to be a dating app, basically. If you put, men and women or man and man, whatever, together and they're single, eventually they'll start, dating, flirting, whatever it may be. So the goal is to build the social layer of Bitcoin, which, is not just it's friendship, excuse me. It's friendship, is dating occasionally, it's networking.
Perhaps finding a partner for your project.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. I know for a fact people have found job on Orange Lab. People have found, co-founders, business partners, friends. Most of my friends now are, I think most of my friends, even though, so I've lived in LA for 10 years, no, almost 10 years, 8. And I would say, and I had this app for 2 years, right? Most of my friends are from the app. Even for me that I lived, a long time. Because it just is more, it's more interesting, right? Like, it's, you
have more things to relate to, and it's
correct. Yeah. It's a filter on not just Bitcoin. Like, so if you tell me I'm only on Bitcoin, I don't know anything else about you. I don't even know your name. I don't know what your name, where you're from, which school you went to. I don't know anything about you. If you tell me I'm only on Bitcoin, I can very confidently say I know 80% about you. I know what you think of the government. I know what you think about freedom. I know what you think about inflation. I know what you think about sovereignty. And so then we don't even have to talk about Bitcoin. We can just talk about life. But because I know you're in Bitcoin, you went to the same journey that I went, which is not easy, right? Because price crash, people think you're crazy. You actually become lonely at some point. That was my case. Because, people think you're crazy. You lost your mind. You're like playing with also, outside of the Bitcoin bubble that we live, there is no difference between Bitcoin and Dogecoin. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, for us, there is, because we are inside the bubble. But if you look outside of the bubble, like if you talk to a stranger, oh, I'm in Bitcoin and I'm in Dogecoin, I say, okay, great, same thing. So it can become very lonely. And which is why, obviously, this thing took off the way it did. Even with, again, no free trials. Even my mother, so I'm Italian, my mother is like the most important person in my life. Even she has to pay. Now, of course, and I, she joined back then. I don't even remember why she joined. I didn't
She was
give her a
looking
free
for a
membership.
Bitcoiner friend in her local location.
No, she was spying on me, I think. In any case, so it's when you solve a problem, people would pay for it because it's
100%. And especially when people are needing for something, what you mentioned, Matteo, the loneliness aspect. Sometimes, when it's just you and your screen and your Bitcoin Twitter and you have nowhere to talk to, it feels very lonely. And we as humans are, social creatures. Before the whole technological era, it was all about going out, enjoying ourselves, exploring the world. And then the tech invasion came in and everybody's glued to their phones and stuff. And everybody's on antidepressants and drugs because they just can't take it. And this was something needed. And I mean, your barrier of entry, the $199 that started, and now I think it's $299 a month. It's nothing compared to, let's say, a cup of coffee is going to cost you double that nowadays in Starbucks. It's like $6-7 for one cup. And you get nothing out of it. You probably get some shitty coffee, but like here, you actually get a chance to meet other people. As you said, meet potential partners, life partners, business partners. And it's a concept that it's hard to wrap your head around because people are used to everything's free, from the MySpaces and then Facebooks. But people don't realize, as I think you tweeted this as well, but I totally agree. If you're not paying for the product, you are the product. And people don't realize they're just giving all this information, all this value that's then later on resold to, when I now learned, even to governments to advertise to you. But, paying a small fraction for something that is actually improves your life is well worth it. And I find it crazy that people say, I'm not going to pay for an app. Like, I can just go and find people on my own for free online. And it's good luck.
Maybe.
Go and find them if you can.
So here's an example that I give sometimes. Now imagine I tell you, hey, there is a restaurant that just opened. Everything is free. You go, you eat, it's free. You will never go there. You say, what the hell are they doing there? They're probably doing some science experiment, right? Nobody would ever, unless you're homeless, of course. But like we instinctively know somebody's giving you something for free.
Off.
Exactly. Now online, it's a little different because we don't see the extraction of data and privacy that you would see in a restaurant that's free. It's not direct, but the point being, like, think about Twitter. Now Twitter, they have a blue check, but think how much money costs to run Twitter or Instagram, like literally billions of dollars. Now, unless you think they're doing for charity, which obviously they're not, they're public companies, then you should be able to realize, well, what exactly is the business model here? Because they obviously have to pay salary and infrastructure and lawyer. I mean, billions and billions of costs. So they must extract more than what they pay to have a business. Otherwise, you don't have a business. And and the question is my privacy worth $3 a month? Yes, no. If you say no, okay. And also, I mean, it's not just the $3. Like, objectively, I used to do this challenge with people, and I say, look, go on Twitter, and so get an account on Launchpad app, and then if you can find a local Bitcoiners on Twitter or Nostr or I don't know, Instagram, faster than on Launchpad app, I refund you the membership. You know how many refunds I've given? Zero. Yeah, because it's literally like much easier, because that's what we do, right? That's the only thing we do is like use approximate geolocation. So it's very, also we don't do background tracing because we don't do ads, right? Again, not doing ads actually makes the product way, way better. So it's only when you open the app, we look at your approximate geolocation, which is a 10 miles radius. So it's very approximate, but it doesn't really matter because you're not looking for your neighbor. You're looking somebody in 5 minutes.
As long as it's in your town.
Yeah, exactly. If it's 2 miles or 3 miles or 5, there's no difference. Also, we approximate all the distances. So if somebody's 3 miles, we say 5. If it's 8, we say 10. It's really like, it's very privacy focused. But that's the only thing we do, And so we are the best in the world at doing that one thing. If you want to tweet or share an idea and have 1,000 people read that idea, obviously you can't even do on these group chats. I guess now you can kind of get close to that, but that's not what we do. And so, and also the paywall, I think there's also an element of people like to belong kind of the special club, which is something that I've learned by selling cars. So when I sold cars, everybody wants a discount, right? Clearly. And then I got good at selling cars. And then my finance manager said, well, everybody can sell a car at a discount. If you're really good at selling cars, you should sell a full price. I'm like, oh, everybody wants a discount. Anyway, so eventually I figure out how to sell a car full price. And I kid you not, the most happiest customer, I sold, I don't know, maybe 1,000 cars in my career. No, maybe not, maybe hundreds for sure. Every single time I sold a car at full price, I got 5-star reviews. One of the person actually is one of my best friends in LA. The happiest people were always the one that paid full price. And the unhappiest people were always the one that I gave the best possible deal, almost got fired to get the deal done. They are the one that complained the most. Why is that? Because it's psychological.
I don't know.
If you get a discount, and because you negotiate for hours with me, I say, okay, the price is 10, but I can do 9 for you. So I give you 10% discount. What happens? You're gonna go home and you're gonna think to yourself, I could have got more discount. Right? That's how the brain works. Because obviously, now I know I gave you really the best deal, but only I know because I know the numbers. You don't know that. And the people that pay full price, they don't overthink about that. They're just happy. They say, okay, there's no negotiation. We didn't negotiate. We didn't spend 2 hours going back and forth. They just get the car they wanted, the color they wanted. The price, obviously, it's closed in advance. They sign. The price works for them. They go home. They're super happy. They come back. They leave a 5-star review. And so that's what I learned. And that's one of the reasons why I knew that the paywall would work, because I knew when people pay, they're actually happier.
Yeah. It's
funny as it sounds. If the app was free, of course it would be a disaster. There would be a hellscape. But forget about that. People will complain more if the app is not free, for the same reason. If you give something for free, you say, okay, it's free, don't complain to me, right? No, they complain more. If you make them pay, they understand. Also, you filter out these people. There's also a filter mechanism.
Yeah.
There are people that are, maybe old enough or mature enough, they understand built-in products. It's difficult, there's bug, blah, blah, blah. The people that get stuff for free, maybe they're like kids, 19 years old, they're on Reddit all the time, they're in the basement, they think they're James Bond, right? And you don't, trust me, you do not want those people in your network. You don't want them because they're going to ruin the experience for everybody.
Yeah.
So with the paywall, you filter them out. The one that get in, they don't complain. In fact, I think we must have made a record. So we launched again, zero members, 0 user. We got 100 5-star reviews in 100 days.
Oh, wow.
With everybody paying, which it doesn't make sense unless you have, my experience. Like, oh yeah, of course, the same exact behavior that I witnessed with selling cars happened with the Orange Pill app, and also because it's a network. So I think the people understand that if the network grows, the value that I get is higher. I paid $3. What I paid is I paid, but if I help the network grows, that I get more value. And so they become, instead of being user, they become like team members. So the table is like, we're all on the same side. We all want this team to grow. So you get more value. I go to business and we're all happy. But if you have users, you have to trick them and do all this shady thing, keep it online, steal the data. Anyway, so all these dark patterns that you probably heard about it. So yeah, and also the other thing is that I think Bitcoiners, number one, instinctively understand the concept of if something is free, you are the product.
Yeah.
And it's because Bitcoin is, it's not free. And secondly, I think because if you're a Bitcoiner and you've been around for a while, you know the amount of noise in the Bitcoin world. Like literally, you can. I don't know if you're in the US, maybe not, but in the US, you can turn on the TV, like CBNC, like this financial, and they took Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, all in the same sentence, right? And there is no, if I tell you, hey man, I love basketball, let's play basketball, and you say yes, I love basketball, I do not expect you coming to want to play tennis. So there's no scenario in which you think basketball is tennis. Or if you say, I love skiing, or I love vegan food. Only in Bitcoin world, we have all this noise.
Yeah.
Which is why the paywall, kind of actually people appreciate the paywall because it keep all the noise that is so big away. And, yeah, so it's literally, I started and I thought, it should work based on my experience, all the things that I've learned, but it might not work because literally every app is free, right?
Yeah.
Especially when I launched, I think Elon Musk had not bought Twitter yet. Now, almost everybody has a check mark, which is great. But back then it was like every app is free. I'm like a nobody with a brand new app and you have to pay. And let's see what happens. And, it worked.
But, as the saying goes, if you don't try, you never know. You could have just said, it's never going to work. And you would never done what you've done. And I was going to say, I mean, it's a pretty unique. I certainly don't myself, but I'm sure you've done your market research. Is there like similar apps like yours where they're like paid apps to meet communities for different things? Like, I don't know, health or sports.
There's
locally?
only one that I know of, which is called Raya, which is a dating app, or I guess it's not a dating app. It's basically a location-based social network for celebrities.
Okay.
And existed before Orange Lab, and I knew of it because I'm in LA. I actually tried to join. Not only you have to pay, you have to be also recommended. So there's two filters, and I know it's very successful. And that's the only one. So there's that, and there's Orange Lab, and there's no other app for. Most apps they give you like a freemium, like they give you some features for free, and then they charge if you want to use more. Which to me, it never made sense because I want you to use the app more, not less. Why would I charge you to use the app more? It's counterintuitive, right? Yeah. Also, there's like two classes of people, the one that pay, the one didn't pay. I have to keep track of everything. I have to build all the filter. Oh, if you paid, you get, I don't know. I don't even know. You can create a group chat, let's say. If you didn't pay, you can create a group chat. Now, if you and I are connected on Orange Lab, we want to create a group chat local. I can't, but you can. So it's always easier to make things easy and simple to understand. Like you pay, you get all the features. Everybody doesn't matter. So by the way, we should say this: there's a monthly membership, there's a yearly membership.
Yeah.
There's a lifetime membership, which I know some people will never. It's funny because there are some people that say, I don't want to pay $2, but I will give you $100 because it's lifetime, because it's not a subscription. You can imagine how many times I heard that. They told me I would never sign up unless I could just buy a lifetime membership, which is 30 times more expensive. And also, so you can get a lifetime membership. And also you can buy in Bitcoin, right? Very important. Unfortunately, we cannot do it on the app because Apple and Google don't allow that. So you go on a website, orangelab.com.
And you don't want to give 30% of the Bitcoin transaction to Apple.
No, there's no way to do that. That's why they don't do that. Because
no, I know. But even if you could, essentially, you're giving like 30% away tax, just
it's
to Apple, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, fiat, man. Fiat is a disaster.
Fiat is the ultimate rent seeker's utopia. Like, where can I get my cut here and get this cut and resell shit A to shit B? But yeah,
Fiat,
that's why we have Bitcoin.
Yeah, no, man, Bitcoin, it's there's no transaction fees basically. There are, but in percentage, it's like 0.1%. It's not. Also, people love it because they don't have to use a credit card. Now, when you pay through the app, we actually don't get paid. Apple does for Google. So we never know your credit card name. We don't know any of that stuff. But still, it's less private that if you go on a website, you put an email that you just created. You pay in Bitcoin from Aladdin wallet, let's say, which is even more private. Actually, sorry, we only accept Aladdin, so you cannot pay on chain. And it's the most private way to do it. And we get 100%. And it's also faster. By the way, just to give you an idea, and this is something that in the context of the Bitcoin economy, right? So if you buy a membership in Bitcoin, I get paid immediately.
Yeah.
If you buy a membership on the 1st of December in Fiat, you know when I get paid?
At the end of the month. Or next month? 3 months?
Nope. I get paid in February.
What?
So
3
the way
months?
It works, 2 months, sorry. If you pay on the 1st of the month, so the way Apple works, they pay you once per month. So they say, okay, this is how much you made in December. We will pay instead of the next day, because they already got the money, right? They got the money when you pay. They will pay me in February for December. So now think about this. Apple obviously, doesn't need my cash, right? But think how much this slow the economy. Because now your $3, which is not 3, it's 3 minus 30%, whatever. Your $3, I could have used them to do advertising on Twitter or, I don't know, conference, hiring people, giveaway, whatever. I could have put it back into the economy immediately. With Fiat, I have to wait 60 days. Now, also, we have inflation.
Yeah.
So now, thankfully, we don't have hyperinflation, but let's assume we have 12% inflation per year. Every month, I lose 1%. So the $3 you send me on the 1st of December, I will get them 2% less because of inflation.
Minus the 30%, so you're getting less than $2.
Yeah. Minus taxes, whatever. So
and Bitcoin pumps like 60% in those 3 months.
Yeah, exactly. But
So
no, I would spend them.
Wrecked.
I would spend them anyway. As a business, I put them back into the economy, right? I buy, of
course,
I buy stuff, I buy flights, whatever it may be. So Bitcoin is just, from an economic standpoint, not only is it's not deflation obviously, but it enables deflation. But it also enables velocity of money, or something that you learn in economics, like the velocity of money matters, because if you have a lot of money, you don't spend them, the economy doesn't grow, the pie doesn't grow. Bitcoin, because it's like borderless, permissionless, I can just hire somebody literally in North Korea if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Try to do that with Fiat. You can't even send $1, right? Or Iran or Cuba, I don't know. So the amount of economic productivity that would be generated by being on a Bitcoin standard is literally not understood by many people.
Yeah.
They just think,
by the majority, 99.9%.
Yeah, but even in Bitcoin, they just think, Bitcoin has a fixed supply, so you have deflation. But it's not just there. You also get an increase in the economic productivity because the money, the velocity of money is much higher. Because I can send
you get true free markets where money just flows freely wherever you want at any point. Nobody telling you got to wait.
There's no tariffs. There is no
60 days.
Exactly. Yes.
Crazy. Well, do you think, kind of to wrap it up, because I know we have another 5 minutes to go, kind of how do you see, so this is one aspect, kind of Bitcoin making business much easier, especially for entrepreneurs who really rely on that money coming in to do the next thing in their business. And what are like some other ways that you see Bitcoin transforming of future businesses as adoption grows? Because it is growing, maybe not as fast as some people expect, but also maybe it's good. We don't want like 1 billion people going and clogging the on-chain now and everything's like all over the place. Like, I think it's going at a nice steady pace, but like going forward, how do you see Bitcoin like really changing economics with your background and kind of your expertise in the finance space?
Well, it's called the power law. I don't know if you ever look into the Bitcoin power law.
I know very well.
Okay. Are you a math guy?
I'm not a math guy, but I love numbers.
Cool. Anyway, we're not gonna get 1 billion people next week, so there's also would be impossible. It would be physically impossible. But it's growing at a sustainable rate, which is what you want actually, because everything that goes up like crazy, it's usually comes down and crash. Yeah, I mean it's gonna be obviously there's Trump coming in a month, literally. So we're gonna have the first pro Bitcoin president of the United States, the first pro Bitcoin cabinet. Literally everybody in his cabinet owns Bitcoin. The guy
Which is
that
crazy.
It is crazy. The guy that is being appointed as the crypto czar, is David Sachs, which I know tangentially because I'm technology.
Yeah,
literally funded the Lightning Network. He's one of the investors in Lightning Labs. And he's the guy in charge of telling Trump, basically, what to do about crypto / Bitcoin, right? So we can't get, it doesn't get, honestly, I guess it could be Michael Saylor being in charge of that, although he has some ideas that I don't agree with. But in any case, so 2025, I call it the Bitcoin age. January 2025 is when we begin the Bitcoin age. What we've done so far is try and error, building the infrastructure.
We were laying the foundation down, and now we're going to start building the tower.
Correct, exactly, perfect. Yes, so you stole the word from my mouth. January 2025, I honestly believe Bitcoin companies, Bitcoin ecosystem, Bitcoin price, everything is going to go is going to kind of explode. Like, not explode, obviously, there's a power law, so it won't explode. But it will be, it will be an accelerant of adoption, and also it will become more mainstream. Right now, you have the ETF.
Yeah.
You have a Bitcoin president. You have a Bitcoin cabinet, and I'll give you an example, right? So I wanted to launch a Bitcoin wallet inside the app because, as crazy as it sounds, the vast majority of people on Orange Flap, which you would think, because they paid, they're more advanced, they're more educated, they're more passionate.
They don't have a Bitcoin wallet.
No, zero.
Yeah.
They don't even know what is a Lightning Network. At least half of them. This is now thousands and thousands of people, right? It's not like 10.
Yeah.
And so at some point I was like, I cannot explain to everybody what is a Lightning Network. It's not my job. And then Wallet of Satoshi left the United States.
Yeah.
So all the people I told to get Wallet of Satoshi now, I have to tell them, okay, get this wallet now. And anyway, so I figure, okay, you know what? I'm just going to put a wallet inside the app. So by default, when you join, you have your own address. And it's a LAN URL. It would be like username at orangeflap.com. You can put it anywhere you want, and you can get sats. You can withdraw. There's obviously. And then I kind of built it. And then in July of 2024, the FBI came out with a notice that facilitating Bitcoin transaction might be illegal, or might be. Is when they arrest the Samurai, the developers.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we're not launching the wallet. Definitely. Because, I don't want to hire more lawyers than developers. So anyway, so we didn't launch the wallet. And then Trump won. I was like, okay, now we can launch the wallet. So I think we're going to launch it, if I can make it happen, literally January 21st, the next day.
Nice.
So now think about this, right? So I can, as a now I'm a US citizen. US company, US investors, US bank accounts, right? I cannot build certain stuff. The moment Trump gets in, I can build stuff, which means more people are going to have a wallet, more people are going to have an address, more people are going to interact with the Latin network. So we're going to decentralize the network more, because the people that don't have it now, it would be good if they go and get a wallet that is an Orange Club, but they don't. They just don't even know. So we're going to give to 10,000 people an address, and then we can send them, we used to send them sats every Saturday. I don't know if you ever got those 21 sats. So, and also if more apps have a wallet inside, the network becomes more anti-fragile, resilient to attacks. Because it's easier. If it's only wallet of Satoshi, it's easy. You just call Australia. I did that in Australia. I called the Prime Minister, whatever. If it's 100 apps with a wallet, it's not worth the squeeze, right?
Yeah.
And so, so we're going to build a wallet, which we couldn't do it now. So this is all the things, obviously I'm sure there are other companies than US-based that are going to build stuff that they couldn't build.
I was going to say there must be so many projects and business models just on the shelf waiting for regulatory stance to change to deploy.
Exactly. Yeah, so 2025 should really be like a Cambrian explosion of apps, infrastructure, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, all that kind of stuff. Like there's a guy that is doing, for example, this very cool market prediction with Bitcoin. Non-KYC. You just send Bitcoin. There's odds. They hold the Bitcoin for the both parties. And then when the bet settle, they just transfer the fund. Obviously, they get their own fees. I wouldn't do it now under this administration. He's doing, maybe it's not in the US. I have no idea where he is. But these are all things that will come out in the next years. So 2025 is going to be amazing.
Amazing. Well, I think that's a nice way to wrap it up. You couldn't sound more bullish, Matteo, for 2025. But honestly, I think even beyond US, especially with the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, there's every other day I'm going on Twitter and reading new governments around the world, if not claiming, but like the parliament discussing, let's do our own, Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. And I really think in the next 4 years, highly possibly nearly half of the world's nations will have their own, maybe not so significant, but they'll have, Bitcoin in their treasury books, which self-explanatory is going to drive adoption so much faster. And once again, a technology that's been around for less than 20 years, January 3rd, Bitcoin is celebrating 16th birthday. I like to refer to Bitcoin as a teenage boy or girl. I'm like, what are you expecting this 16-year-old child to do? Like it's already running at its age. Like wait a few more years, and once it becomes an adult, as it goes into teens, then you're going to be shocked what this child's going to be doing. So, and I truly see that, in the next 4 years, things are going to change crazy. So as I always tell people, there's no better time to get involved in Bitcoin today. May that be just buying some stacks, holding for the long term, or launching your business idea, or finding somewhere you can add in value and work in the Bitcoin ecosystem, because this is just the beginning. There's so many things to get built, and it's now it's not a matter of, is this tech gonna, be here in 10 years? This tech is not going anywhere. It's gonna live way beyond all of us. So this is like the ultimate time to start building and getting involved.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. 2025, launch your companies, launch your L2, L3, like buy Bitcoin, obviously. Join a startup if you can, invest in a startup. It's going to be really good, Or
are you going to have investment opportunities? I think there was something with Lightning Ventures, I think, regarding investment for Orange Pill app.
Yeah, we've raised a pre-seed round last year, and we're currently fundraising a seed round. And we should be launching a Thunder Funder crowdfunding campaign. It's a new project from Lightning Ventures. And
this is going to be in the new year, in January, right? Or still this month?
Okay, I think it's going to be in January because, December is a slow month. And, so there's going to be, if you're an investor and you want to reach out to me, you can find me on the app or on Twitter. or you can send me an email. Obviously we can do also like a safe note, one-to-one, if it makes sense.
Amazing. Well, by the time this episode goes out, most probably it will be live, because this episode will be going out sometime in mid towards second half of January. So if you guys are super interested in hearing what Matteo's shared, his incredible story of going down the Bitcoin rabbit hole and what he's built so far in such a short period of time of 2 years with the Orange Pill app. If you aren't using it yet, then I highly encourage everyone listening to go out, pay the $3. You won't regret it. You are going to get a lot more value than $3 out of it. You can essentially meet lifelong friends on it. And wherever you go in the world, by opening the map, seeing, what local Bitcoiners in the area, you will essentially have friends away from home feeling like a home. So once again, thanks a lot, Matteo, for taking the time to come on. Thanks a lot for all of your proof of work, building something that was highly needed by Bitcoiners for a long time. I'm really excited to see what's gonna, how the project progresses. You said you're at somewhere 14, 15,000 members. I'm really curious to see where you're going to be in a year's time as things are unraveling and the word spreads. And I think, the pace is only going to pick up. So maybe we can shoot again in some maybe 12 months time, end of 2025, to reflect on the first year of the golden Bitcoin age. But until then, Matteo, thank you so much. And if there's any way I can help or anything I can do, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'd be more than happy to assist you.
Thank you very much, Gigi. It's a pleasure. I had a lot of fun with this conversation. And yeah, we'll do it again next year.
Sounds good. Until then, stack sats, stay humble, and stack friends. Take care, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did recording it. I would really appreciate it if you could like, subscribe, and share this episode to help this podcast grow. Thanks for supporting the show, and until next time, stay safe and stack sats.